Well, good evening, friends. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, this literally, and I mean literally, does not work. So, I'm finally back home. I've gotten myself something to eat. You know, as they say, fat people, we got to eat. We got to eat, man. Yeah, and I got me something to eat. I had me a steak and cheese sandwich. Not a cheesesteak, but a steak and cheese sandwich, and a salad. So, I was sitting here, going through my stuff as I was sitting there, stuffing my pie hole, and I came across Colin Cowherd, who seems to be one of the few people still on the Carson Wentz bandwagon. And basically, he was doing kind of a mock draft, they called it to quarterback or not to quarterback. And they were going through the likely position that, teams are right now. And he pointed out, of course, the Cowboys are fourth, and currently the Eagles are 6. So, of course, they went to the Jets. They said, of course, the Jets, maybe they try and trade Sam Darnold and get something for him. Maybe this is like a Josh Rosen situation where, maybe they get a second or a third round pick or something for him, but you're not getting a number one for that guy. You believe me, you're not getting a number one for him, and nor should you, because the Jets have a way of destroying quarterbacks. I mean, remember good old butt fumble? Yeah, they did that to him. And that was in the good days of the Jets. So then they got to Jacksonville next. And, of course, they said, Gardner Minshew, great backup quarterback. Thought he might be the guy, but, yeah, they definitely need to draft a quarterback. Then they got to the Bengals, and they say, of course, they got Joe Burrow. He's good. Get the best tackle in football. That makes sense. And then he got to the Dallas Cowboys, and, he's got this whole thing about paying Dak. Dak is going to cost you like $37 million. You should try and get one of these quarterbacks. Get one of these quarterbacks. So wait a minute. You're saying that Joe Burrow and probably Justin Fields are already going to be drafted before you get there. And you're saying that the Cowboys should move on from Dak Prescott and take the third best quarterback, at least as what they're rating. Because the ratings don't necessarily mean anything, because as you look at, sometimes the guys that are picked 1 and 2 are the worst ones out there. And usually, almost never do you draft a quarterback 1 and 2 and both of them are really good quarterbacks. Usually one is really good and one is really bad. Like you had Drew Bledsoe and you had Rick Meyer. Drew Bledsoe got a Super Bowl ring, had to play, won some games. Rick Meyer was a bust. And then you had like Jameis Winston and Marcus Mariota, and you can't look at either of those guys and say that either of them were good. You can look at Jared Goff and Carson Wentz. Well, I'm sorry. As much as Colin Cowherd keeps trying to convince you that Carson Wentz is special, he's not special, okay? You can't look at that and say, yeah, that's a great draft of quarterbacks. So he gets to the Cowboys and says the Cowboys should move on from Dak. He's like, it won't happen. But, they should take one of these quarterbacks because, one of these guys can be good. Okay. So Dak Prescott, who was on pace to literally beat the passing record by like 900 yards, who was on an absolute positive tear during the season as far as passing goes. And I'm not saying that was the best way to run an offense, because you need some balance. You need to be able to run the football and pass the football. And you need a defense that doesn't give up 36 points a game or 40 points a game in some of those early. He gets to the Eagles, and he's like, no, they don't need a quarterback. They got Carson Wentz. They got so many injuries and everything else. Who can perform? He's been sacked 40-some times, and there's injuries all over the place. No, they're good at quarterback. Really? Really? Okay. I understand. Cowboy fans will go through and they say, well, you know what? Yeah, Dak Prescott, he's not going to take you to the Super Bowl. He's not that good. He's lost in the playoffs. Well, let me ask you this. What if the first 4 years of a career, you had a quarterback that was 32 and 32, 500, made it to the playoffs 3 years of those 4, lost all of those games, lost all of them. Completion percentage 62.7. 7.4 yards per completion. Nothing special, right? And so, and you look at this in comparison to where you are with Dak Prescott. How about this? How about this? What if you had a guy through his first 8 seasons in the NFL, he got into 9 playoff games. 9 playoff games. Ended up being 3-6. So he did win a few. 3-6. 33% win percentage. Not great. Ended up averaging 273 yards a game. Had 15 TDs in these 9 games and 8 interceptions. Oh, by the way, that guy that I was talking about too, in his first 4 years, he threw 111 touchdowns, which is freaking amazing. But he also threw 81 interceptions. I mean, that's like Carson Wentz, isn't it? No, Carson Wentz didn't have 111 his first. No, he had, I think, 100, but 81 interceptions to 111 touchdowns. If he was quarterbacking the Dallas Cowboys, what would you do? You'd say, this guy's a bum, man. You can't win with this guy. 3-6 in the playoffs? 0-3 in the playoffs his first 4 seasons? No, I don't want him. Screw him. 9 seasons and no Super Bowls? Can't do crap with him. All right, I'll come back to that guy in a minute. One other thing I want to also look at too is back to Colin Cowherd, where he's talking about, Cowboys draft another quarterback. You can just get another quarterback right there. I almost think that this is one of those things that they're telling you to do that, and then when the Cowboys do something like that, hold it. Sorry, I felt it coming. But I think this is one of those things that he's hoping that the Cowboys do this, so that way, come next year, you say, well, what were they doing? How stupid. You had Dak Prescott. Okay, that's what they're playing. They're playing you. And my hair is just playing with me too. But anyway, let's go back to 2019, okay? So we're talking about right now the Cowboys are at 4th. You're saying the Cowboys, along with the Jaguars, along with the Jets, should get a quarterback. Okay, so 3rd best quarterback out there. In 2019, here were the top 3 quarterbacks that were drafted. And they weren't in the top 5. Kyler Murray, number 1. Kyler Murray is doing some damage this year. Daniel Jones, who was 6th. And Dwayne Haskins, who was 15th. So by his logic, we would get Dwayne Haskins. Okay. Let's go to 2018. Baker Mayfield, first pick of the draft. It's conceivable that Cleveland moves on from him. It's conceivable. Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold, who was the number 3 pick. The Jets. We're moving on from him. And Josh Allen, who was the 7th pick, is doing pretty good. But I'm not going to say that Josh Allen is better than Dak Prescott. Are you? Are you going to say that? Okay. Let's go to 2017. I know this is long, but just follow me here. It makes perfect sense. 2017, the 2nd pick of the draft, Mitch Trubisky, and the Bears traded up for that guy. Ooh. Now, you did have Pat Mahomes, who was drafted 10th, and you did have Deshaun Watson that was drafted 12th. So if you got Deshaun Watson, yeah, that would have been a good pick. But you look at the stats, Dak and Deshaun, they're the same guy. Okay. 2016, Jared Goff went number 1. Carson Wentz went number 2. Christian Hackenberg. Paxton Lynch went 3rd. Would we be good with Paxton Lynch? Okay. 2015. Okay. Jameis Winston, number 1. Marcus Mariota, number 2. Garrett Grayson? Who? That was in the 3rd round. Okay. 2014, Blake Bortles, number 3. Johnny Manziel, 24th. Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy's serviceable, but he ain't Dak Prescott. 2013, E.J. Emanuel, 16th pick. Geno Smith and Mike Gannon. 2012, Andrew Luck, good quarterback, couldn't stay healthy. Number 2, Robert Griffin. And see, this goes back to where I said when you have a quarterback 1 and 2, usually one has a really good career and the other one doesn't. Yeah, guess which one didn't have the great career there? We saw him yesterday. And then Ryan Tannehill. So would you want to have Ryan Tannehill? One other thing, too, I want you to also notice, too, is none of these drafts have 3 quarterbacks going in the top 5. None of them. None of them. Because usually, okay, there might be 1 or 2 guys that you'll get to say, yeah, they're really good. But having 3, probably not. 2011, you had Cam, who was the number 1 pick. And then you had Jake Locker, and then Blaine Gabbert. 8 and 10. Could you imagine if we had Blake Gabbert? And then we'll go 2010, and this will be far enough. You had Sam Bradford, Tim Tebow, and the pickle, Jimmy Clausen. Wow. How many of those top quarterbacks in there do you look at and say, wow? The only ones in there, in those top picks where you see quarterbacks, I mean, Sam Bradford, Tim Tebow, Clausen didn't do anything. Terrell Pryor, Cam Newton, Jake Locker. You could say Cam went to a Super Bowl. You could say Andrew Luck had a decent season. RG3 had a Rookie of the Year. Ryan Tannehill, he's doing okay right now. E.J. Manuel, Geno Smith, Mike Gannon. Blake Bortles, Johnny Manziel, Teddy Bridgewater. Jameis Winston, Marcus Mariota, Garrett Grayson. Jared Goff, Carson Wentz, Paxton Lynch. The only one that you look at and say, okay, would be 2017. Mitch Trubisky, Pat Mahomes, Deshaun Watson. Trubisky, of course, stinks, but Pat Mahomes, who was 10th, and Deshaun Watson, that was 12th. Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Josh Allen, not that great. Kyler Murray, Daniel Jones, and Dwayne Haskins. So when somebody says, just draft another quarterback, bro, that don't really happen. And back to that guy that I told you through his first 9 seasons, or 8 seasons, was 3-6 in the playoffs, who averaged 273 yards a game and basically had 1.5 touchdowns and 1 interception in the playoffs. That, by the way, was Peyton Manning. So Peyton Manning had been drafted by the Dallas Cowboys and played the way he did. You guys would say, get that bum out of here. Drop the mic.